You ever hold something in your hands and realize it weighs a whole lot more than just its pounds? That was me that morning, gripping a sledgehammer so tight my knuckles turned white, standing in the backyard where my daughter once called the shots. The sun wasn't even up proper, but sweat already streaked down my face, mixing with tears I wasn't sure anybody would notice. 3 years of fighting cancer will do that to you, strip you down, burn through your savings, your retirement, your hope, even your pride. But as I stood there, looking at that old concrete pool that once meant everything to Emma, all I saw now was the one thing standing between my little girl and the treatment she needed. What I didn't see, at least not yet, was my neighbor Karen Whitmore, peering out her kitchen window like some kind of suburban hawk, ready to pounce the minute things didn't go her way. Let me back up a sec. My name's Marcus Chun, and up until a few years ago, I'd have told you my life was pretty much like everyone else's on Maple Drive. Nice house, decent job, 2 kids, Jake 16, Emma 8. Then the diagnosis hit, and, I swear, nothing's been the same since. Insurance didn't cover the only hope we had, a clinical trial all the way over in Germany, costing more than 2 years' salary for a shot at a 60% chance. My pool, my pride and joy, was about to be torn up so my daughter might live to swim again one day. Heavy stuff, right? So there I am, sledgehammer raised, when Jake sidles up, voice raw and shaky. Dad, are you sure about this? Maybe there's another way. I couldn't look him in the eye, not really. Contractor's coming Monday, I told him. Insurance won't cover it, son. This is all we got. The way he looked at me, you'd think I was breaking his heart, not concrete. But he understood, maybe better than I did, that you do whatever it takes for family, even if it means smashing the last happy place you got left. Funny thing is, Emma never complained about being sick. On her good days, she'd float in that pool, bald head catching the afternoon sun, pretending to be a mermaid even with the chemo port poking out of her chest. I can still hear her laugh sometimes. I guess that's why this next part hurts so bad. Because as soon as I bring the hammer down, shattering the silence and those fancy blue tiles, I hear Karen's voice slicing through the morning like a razor. Marcus Chun, what in God's name are you doing? There she stood, hair perfect, robe pristine, acting like I'd set fire to the neighborhood. You can't just tear up your backyard like some kind of hillbilly. Do you realize what this will do to our property values? She practically spit the words, each one landing like a slap. Now, I'd love to tell you I kept my cool, but months of bills, sleepless nights, and watching my little girl wither away had left my nerves shot. Still, I tried. Karen, I filed the paperwork. This is my property. I got every right to do what I have to. But she wasn't hearing it. Your rights end where my property values begin, she hollered, face turning a shade of red I hadn't seen outside of a lobster boil. Before Jake could fire back, I put a hand on his shoulder, the universal dad signal for don't. But Karen wouldn't let up. If you can't afford to maintain your home, Marcus, maybe you should consider moving somewhere more appropriate. Man, that stung, like being told your kid's illness was some kind of moral failure. You heartless. Jake started, but I cut him off. Go check on your sister. He stormed off, throwing Karen a look that would have melted paint. I faced her square. My daughter is dying. This pool is all I have to give her a chance. If that doesn't fit your idea of community standards, maybe your standards need changing. I'll give her this. Something flickered in her eyes, maybe guilt, maybe just annoyance, but it vanished as fast as it came. Sorry about Emma, but this isn't just about you. We have procedures, Marcus. Standards. She rattled off rules like a lawyer at closing arguments. Noise ordinances, permits, HOA notifications. She even had the time down. It's only 7:30. You know construction isn't allowed before 9. I lowered my hammer, chest tight. She'd done her homework. This wasn't about community anymore. It was war. Karen, please. My daughter is not my responsibility, Marcus. My property values are. Cold as January ice that I set the hammer down, figuring she'd finally worn me out. But before I could answer, the cavalry rolled in. Blue lights, sirens, Two cops stepping onto my driveway like they'd been waiting for this showdown all week. Karen perched on her porch, arms crossed, looking for all the world like the queen she thought she was. Officer Rodriguez approached, calm but sharp. Noise complaint, property destruction, got permits, sir? I handed them over, palms sweating, trying not to look as defeated as I felt. Karen was in her element, running down a list of my supposed crimes. This man's been acting erratically, disturbing the neighborhood, terrorizing us all. I wanted to scream, but I kept my voice even. I'm just removing my own pool, trying to save my daughter's life. But Karen, oh, she was on a roll, talking about my mental state, about how she documented my late-night sobbing. Yeah, that happened. I guess then walls go both ways. She'd been keeping notes, sending them to the HOA as evidence I wasn't fit to be a parent. You ever see a room go cold, like everyone just stopped breathing at the same time? That was us when she said that. And that's when Jake burst out the door, Emma trailing behind him, pink cap on her bald head, looking every bit the warrior she'd become. Is my daddy in trouble? She asked, voice soft but clear. Rodriguez went quiet. Even Karen seemed to lose her footing. This is my daughter, I said, barely above a whisper. That's why I was tearing up the pool. Emma took my hand, her little fingers cold but sure. It's okay, Daddy. Dr. Mueller called. We don't need the pool money anymore. Jake explained. The foundation was covering everything. Emma was going to Germany, treatment paid in full. For a second, even Karen looked lost, maybe ashamed. But Jake, bless that kid, wouldn't let it go. You want to know what those phone calls were, Karen? They were to doctors, to insurance companies who hung up on us. You want to know about late-night crying? Try watching your sister almost die. Rodriguez closed her notebook. We're done here. But Karen couldn't stand to lose. Even as she backed off, muttering, I don't care about your sob story. We all knew something in her had cracked. 3 weeks later, I was sitting in Frankfurt Airport, Emma sleeping beside me, Jake glued to his phone. The neighborhood had turned on Karen. Gossip flew, lawsuits came down, and her ex took the house in the divorce. Jake grinned. Mom says Karen moved out today. For sale signs up. Emma stirred. Are we talking about the mean lady? I hesitated. Not mean, honey. Just lost. She nodded, wisdom way beyond her years. Sometimes people get so scared they want to make everyone else miserable. But being scared doesn't change anything except how you feel. Dr. Reeves, Emma's oncologist, showed up with a crowd from the foundation and news. Jake's letter had gone viral. Our story was changing how people saw families in crisis. They offered me a job running a new foundation to help other families, to be the person I needed when it all started. I looked at Emma, then at Jake, at everything we'd been through, and said yes. We walked out. Emma tugged my sleeve. Dad, do you think Karen will be okay? I told her, I hope so. Sometimes the hardest things turn us into better people, if we let them. Maybe she will. Maybe she won't. But I know this. When your back's against the wall, what matters isn't property values or community standards, but who's got your back when you need it most. So tell me, what would you have done? Would you tear down your dreams to save your child, even if the world judged you for it? Let's talk about what's really right, what justice looks like, and how far you'd go for your family. Share your thoughts, because maybe it's time we all started looking out for each other, not just our own backyard.